Yeah, so my name is Laura Marquez Garrett. I am an attorney at the Social Media Victims Law Center, referred to as SMBLC. We are a law firm out of Seattle, Washington, formed at the end of 2021, and our sole purpose is to represent families whose children have been harmed by social media products, to essentially force them to fix their products and create industry-wide reform. Can't Look Away is a documentary that was created by Bloomberg. So Bloomberg essentially followed us, so the attorneys from SMBLC around for maybe like 2 years. Some of the parents, not everything we did, of course, but they followed some of the stories of the cases that we're working on. And the film includes stories from parents who've been harmed. They include footage from litigation that we're in. It also includes, statements from whistleblowers and things like that. And I couldn't quite tell you what the goal is because that would be Bloomberg. I do know that what the film, I think, has been used for is to help show people what's happening. It's to help raise awareness, at least from my perspective. The biggest challenge, the biggest struggle when it comes to advocating for children in the tech harm space is tech itself. These companies spare no expense when it comes to protecting their business model, whether it's litigation, whether it's education, advocacy. Legislation's a great example. Actually, you will see a scenario where a company says, oh, I support reasonable legislation, and then in the background, they use a company like NetChoice, which is funded by these tech companies, to then fight to sue, to bring out lobbyists. They did this with the Kids Online Safety Act. In 2024, there was some proposed federal legislation that passed in the Senate. I believe it was 91-3, truly bipartisan. And ultimately what happens is it never got put up in the House because a Louisiana senator who had the power to make that decision didn't. That particular state got a $4 billion AI facility that's being built this year. I'm not saying for certainty that the two are related, but we don't know, right? There's no transparency. So we are constantly on the state and federal level fighting big tech money, big tech power, and big tech greed. So the current status of online safety for kids in 2025 is there is none. It is still the wild, wild west. You have companies that because we didn't know what they were doing, they pretended that they were just like the internet, and they're not. They are building, they're designing, distributing, marketing to children products that are inherently harmful and or defective. That includes things like addictive features, specifically addictive features that they know are harmful to children's self-esteem, to their development, quite literally to their brain development, right? To the development of their frontal lobe. They are exploiting and abusing children. And so far, they're getting away with it. And the status is that they have a lot of money and power, and we need everyone who cares about kids to step up and to tell them that we're done and that they need to stop. So the one piece of advice about online safety for kids that I really would like the world to know is that currently, because of the way these companies are designing and distributing and marketing their products, there's no such thing. And it is similar to sort of the Pinto situation where it would be like saying, how do you drive a Pinto safely? The problem is when a Pinto would be rear-ended, it would explode. There was no way to drive it safely. It was a problem with the product. And I think that's part of what these tech companies, they want to tell parents delay use. The answer in my household is no. When my children turn 18, I'm not going to say happy birthday, here's a pack of cigarettes, right? Maybe they can buy cigarettes. It doesn't mean I want them smoking them. Right now, as designed, the primary platforms, these main products, social media, even AI, are health-harming products. That means they're harmful. They're harmful no matter your age, but they're particularly harmful if your frontal lobe is developing and you are vulnerable. And so ultimately, that is what I think parents need to understand is these companies will tell you, oh, just open an account with your kid. The thing is, you can't educate around addiction. And what we see over and over with the thousands of families we work with, we see kids who are doing just fine, and they start using these apps, and all of a sudden, everything changes. They can't sleep at night. They are distracted. They sneak up to gain access. They beg, borrow, steal. They break rules they never would have broken. We have children who, when you take the social media away, they lose control. They self-harm. They run away. We actually have children who have died by suicide with the suicide note reading, you should have taken an iPhone. That's addiction. And so that is what I think parents need to be aware of. And the last thing I would say is for those parents whose kids are already using, give yourself grace. Give your children patience, because if you think of it like an addiction, then their behavior becomes a lot more understandable, and you understand it's not their fault. It's not your fault. it is, there's a lot of fault to go around. There's a lot of fault for people to take responsibility. But what we need to look at is the fact that the only ones not taking responsibility, and by the way, parents blame themselves, kids blame themselves, teachers blame themselves, mental health professionals blame themselves. Everyone in society, but for the manufacturers of these health-harming products, are taking some responsibility. We need to look at them and make them take responsibility.